This segment of Thoroughbreds Argo brought to you by Barrastock, trusted by Australia's leading equestrians and backed by Kentucky Equine Research. Horses come first. Kate Dallimore has ridden off-track thoroughbreds since she was a teenager and recently picked up a beautiful big son of Thoroughturn, quite literally straight off the track. Here she explains some of the early work required and how it's not only the million-dollar earners bringing great joy to their new riders. It's really great to catch up with you because this is a really good story about literally an off-the-track thoroughbred who's only been out of racing for a matter of days, really, and already behaving like an absolute gentleman. But first of all, tell us a bit about your riding background and your work with thoroughbreds.
I started riding back when I was about 5. I guess I was born with horses in my blood, as they say. My whole family doesn't come from horses, and for some reason, from a very young age, I just had an obsession with them. So I was lucky enough when I was 4 or 5, I started riding. I had a little pony and then I sort of progressed to a bit bigger stock horse, and then I went on to my first off-the-track thoroughbred when I was about 15. We grew up in humble beginnings, and off-the-track thoroughbreds are very accessible and very cheap to buy, especially, that was 10, 15 years ago. So I ended up with my first thoroughbred off the track and to just help progress with my riding. So that was sort of how that started. I had another thoroughbred after that called Ricochet, and he came with me to boarding school at Neggs in Armidale. And so I had him for about 3 years at school, and he was amazing. He just built all my confidence up, and he was probably the horse that made me really fall in love with thoroughbreds. When I left school, I went to work for Barramel Stud, and that is where I met my next off-the-track thoroughbred. So I met him as a yearling. He was a Congrats colt out of Dazzle Light, and I followed him through racing, and Claire Bird was kind enough to sort of connect me with him when he finished racing. And he was a 3-year-old. This Makeawooturn, who we've just been talking about today, he's probably my 6th or 7th off the track horse. And he's just a lovely, lovely boy. Like you said, straight off the track and acting like an absolute gentleman.
Great name by Thoroughturn. He really defies the crazy ex-racehorse theory, doesn't he? I mean, you've literally only jumped on him in the last day or so, and he's just raced so recently.
Yeah, so he actually raced about, I think it was just over 2 weeks ago at Scone, and he finished sort of at the tail of the field. And a good friend of mine, Rosie Lindgren, she's been riding his track work for the past 2 years. And I sort of said to Rosie the last few months, if you ever come across a thoroughbred that's big and, I wanted a horse with a bit of size, and I said I'd love one that's got a bit more of a, calmer nature, and just one that I can progress over the years and not find another home for, one that ideally, the goal is to go to Equestrian every year. Yeah, long story short, I saw her riding him in the arena over the weekend, and that was his first ride off the track, and he sort of caught my eye with his personality. He looked lovely and quiet, and he's a lovely, big, handsome horse. Rode him Sunday, rode him Monday, and then I bought him Tuesday.
He's so quiet in the tie-ups. I mean, so many of these horses straight off the track, you're still going to have to do work and teach him to tie up to a truck and all those things. But just to have that level of temperament so soon off the track, different environment, he doesn't mind being by himself, his ears are pricked. I mean, what an amazing horse.
Yeah, he's, like you said, they're all work when you get them off the track. They all need that sort of, just that re-education and just that teaching them to slow down in life. It's quite a high-paced environment, in the race environment. Yeah, his personality, he's just lovely and quiet. He's just been with a really good trainer. Rosie's been riding him for the last 2 years, so we know his history, and he's obviously had a very good start to life. Yeah, he's really sort of showing us that he's not a typical, what everyone thinks is a crazy thoroughbred off the track.
Makeawooturn sticks the head out in front, Steel Claws fights back, they drive. Makeawooturn, I reckon Makeawooturn.
The beauty of this too is he's not a well-known horse. He only won once at Tamworth, 15 starts, 1 win, 1 placing. But, he was a $6,000 HTBA English yearling as well. But, he's a lovely horse. But the thing is, they're not all going to be stunning athletes. They're not all going to be million-dollar yearlings that need rehoming. What you want is a horse that has got the temperament And as you said, the strength and the size for what the rider wants.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important, you know, it's amazing. It's great that we sort of showcase those horses like Hartnell and Hot King Prawn and Zaki and all those horses that we saw at Equimillions this year, which is, it's great. And they're all those high level horses, but high level riders. But I think it is really important for these sort of underdogs to be recognised as well, because all those country geldings that retire and mares, they need homes as well. And, you know, like we've just said, he wasn't an absolute champion on the track, but out of all my racehorses I've had, he's got to be the best tempered one I've had so far. So you know their history, you know where they've been. Yeah, they don't have to be a Group 1 winner to be an amazing off the track horse.
Giving him the treats, you know, things like that. Like you're training him, it's like training a dog, isn't it? Training any horse, obviously. But you see him respond. He was straight away, and even when you're giving him a pat, you've had a bit of a trot and a canter with him and a lovely loose walk. And you know, he really enjoys getting those rewards. He knows when he's doing the right thing.
I think that's why I fell in love with the Thoroughbred, is that they are a breed that really tries for you and they really want to work for you, and they're athletic. That's what we breed them for, is to be that top level racehorse. So although, albeit he may not have made it to be that top level racehorse, he's still an athlete. You know, he's still a Thoroughbred. So I don't want to go to the Olympics. I want to go around and jump 80 centimetres, and he'll be perfect for that.
You're very passionate about this, obviously, as well. But for owners, should there be some sort of retirement fund? You're basically a retrainer. If you know, this might be your horse for a long time, or there might be other horses that you retrain and on sell. But owners need to be aware it takes some time to get that horse retrained to either go to a new home or for the person taking them on. And it might take a number of months once they're out of the actual trainer's care to get them to that point that then they can move to a longer term home.
He's sort of a perfect example, this horse, because although he raced 2 weeks ago, he's sort of the exception. He's come off the track and he's got this beautiful personality, and he's probably sort of had a bit more of a softer racing career as some horses. So he does have an exceptional temperament, and like humans and horses, we've all got different personalities. Most of them do take quite a bit of time, sort of 3 to 6 months in my opinion, to sort of be ready to be retrained. A lot of them may not retire sound. They might need time in the paddock to spell and recover. And then even then when they come back in, they're starting a whole new life, where in racing they used to be in a full barn full of all their friends, and they're trotting down to the track and they're trotting back from the track, and a lot of them do cope in that environment. But then when you take them out of that, like you said before, they're sort of, I'm pulling him out of the paddock by himself. He hasn't got 10 other horses around him. You know, they get, from as little as they get tied up differently. They're not getting put in cross ties anymore. They're getting tied up, you know, to the mesh in the wash bay. So it does take time to sort of show these horses that life needs to be a bit slower after racing. And I think owners just sort of need to be just maybe a bit more aware of that, you know, in the industry, that they do a lot for us on the track, and obviously they bring in a lot for the economy for everyone. I think owners just sort of need to be aware of that when, you know, they do have geldings or mares that aren't going to the breeding barn, that they may have to spend a bit of money to try and find those horses a suitable home. Yeah, it just may take a little bit more time, and I think it's really important for the industry, you know, not only owners, but as an industry body, for us to realise that that's actually a direct industry issue. You know, like for the future of our industry, the welfare of the horses post-racing, it is really important to have that sort of taken care of and having it discussed, because as time goes on and as we breed more and more horses, there needs to be more and more homes for them. And, you know, with cost of living and all those sorts of things that are going on there, in my opinion, there's just not enough homes for the amount of horses. So we do need the industry and the owners to back these horses for them to be suitable to go on and be in an equestrian home, instead of just, you know, depending on individuals to sort of rehome all these horses, because financially it does take its toll, and there are a lot of horses that are looking for homes, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of effort, and it's a lot of money to rehome these horses. So support from the industry it's really important.
And what are the plans with him? I mean, it's early days, obviously, but, you know, you said you want to compete in Equimillion, but obviously that takes a progression. So what's coming up with him in the next few months, just for people to know what the next steps are?
It depends on the horse that you get, I guess, but for Makeawooturn in particular, who's, as we saw today, he's just got such a lovely personality, and he's really settling in already to life after racing. Next weekend, actually, we're going to jump on the float with Ali, and we're going to head up to Tamworth show jumping. We're not going to compete. We're just going to basically have a trot and a canter around the warm-up ring, and I'm going to sit there and hang out with him while everyone else competes, and then we'll just teach him, you know, just expose him to a show jumping day where he might have a bit of a look around and think, it's a bit odd, we're not running in circles, we're show jumping, but it'll just teach him that, you know, again, a slower pace of life, and just expose him to another part of life, and tie him up to the float for the day, and just get him used to all those sorts of things. And then eventually when I do take him out to a show jumping day or a dressage day to compete, he's just had that experience, you know, and he'll be a lot calmer and a lot more accepting. And then from there, it'll just be getting to know each other and just slowly building on changing his muscles. It's obviously a very different muscle sort of pattern that they'll be using in the equestrian pursuits other than racing. So yeah, just letting him let down and relax and get the grain out of his system and get to know each other. Probably give him a break when I'm at Magic Millions in January. And then when I come home, we'll start working towards Equimillion. And yeah, we won't be aiming for anything too crazy at Equimillion next year, but even just going and doing a 60 centimetre and a prelim test would be amazing. It would be really cool.